Okay, everyone, welcome to another weekly live Q&A. Now, before this fucking thing makes a noise, I'm going to make sure that I get the volume turned off once it starts up. Just waiting for the stream to start on the page. Yeah, it's taking. Oh, there we go. There we go. Got to get this volume off. Good. It's always annoying when that goes off. Anyway, so I'm going to kick off another weekly live Q&A. Thank you all for joining. I see I got viewers beginning to show up. I did get a question either by email or message or something, or it was in the body of the comments of the last Q&A, asking me to address how to make yourself better with women, specifically through lifting, I guess, a number of other variables. I think that's better suited to an actual video, so I'll be doing a video about that. Now, I'm no Casanova, but I've been on both sides of the track. In my life, I've had points of time where I've not been great with women, and then points of time where, I just didn't ever, health and everything else wasn't great. I wasn't athletic. I was a lot more nerdier than I am now, I suppose, back in my teen years. And then now, which I have a lot more success with women. So I definitely have wisdom, I guess, I could impart that works for me. It may or may not work for you, but it might be worth doing an episode over. And I will involve science where it is useful. So that's something to look forward to coming up in the channel. I got a number of videos I have in the preparing stages too. I just wanted to put that message out there before we get kicked off. Now, let's look at the questions that are coming in. Okay. Let's see. How can I keep track of how much protein, fat, and carbs that I eat each day? Should I write it down in a notepad? There are online programs you can use. I believe that, like, what are some of them? I don't use them. I use an Excel spreadsheet, but there are online programs that people use. I just can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. It's a really popular one. But you can use those. That isn't, you can find them. Don't worry about that. But you can use those. You can use an Excel spreadsheet. You could write it down by hand if you want to. But what I do is I use an Excel spreadsheet. I use formulas. I'm just so used to working in Excel and have been for a long time in my life. So it's easier for me. And I create formulas where I just plug in the food on the side, and then I have the macros next to it, like calories, fat, carbs, protein, sometimes even fiber, depending on if the diet's like a ketogenic diet or not, where I do count my fiber. And subtract it from the daily total of carbs, total carbs. And then I'll have it on the bottom. It'll just add up to show me my daily totals. And then below that, I'll have a little field where I have what I'm targeting for my totals. And I'll tweak until I kind of, as much as possible, I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, match my targets for the day, which is based on calculations for what I need for my body weight and my goals. And that's the best way to do it. Track it based on the food labels. You can use things like nutritiondata.self.com, the website that has various foods and their macros listed. And that's really the best way to do it. And this is where it helps prepare your own foods too, because you don't know what might be in a restaurant meal, for instance. So, if you do eat out, sometimes it's hard to track those because you don't really know, what they've used in it. You can't really control the ingredients. So those are better. Restaurant type meals are better for cheat days, or cheat meals rather. I don't advise cheat days, but cheat meals rather, if you want to have like a nice, just change of pace with some friends or family. What are some bodybuilding workouts for beginners? I personally think like just a good full body routine, 3 days a week is great for beginners. Then as you become more advanced, as I've said before, move into things like upper body, lower body, or push-pull legs, push-pull legs. You're still working everything more than once a week directly, but you're allowing for more overall volume per body part than you would in a full body routine 3 days a week, unless you want to be in the gym like 3 or 4 hours. But, which I don't recommend for a natural lifter anyway, these marathon workouts. Yes, this is started. Where can I get rice protein? Well, you should be able to find it in nutrition stores. And you certainly can find it online. Amazon sells it. I don't know where you live though, but here in America, at least, Amazon sells it. You can get it at True Nutrition, which is a site that I'm affiliated with. You can get it like Swanson's Vitamins, which is an online retailer, has it as well. And I buy some things from Swanson's. You just shop around and find the best price. How can I burn fat while building muscle at the same time? that is a matter of setting up a recomp diet, and you can do that. There's a lot of figures that go into it, and actually I have a recomp program at the veganmuscleacademy.com, my training and nutrition service that I offer people. But essentially, it's based around your overall caloric intake and keeping protein high. So I would suggest, keeping your caloric intake at your maintenance or just a hair below your maintenance, which is enough by virtue of training that you should also lose fat consistently. But it's also high enough that you might add a bit of muscle. But understand a recomp is a lot slower process than a light bulk or a, than a light bulk, basically. And the fat loss might be a little slower, too, than a light cutting cycle. So let's go. Let's get ready to rumble. We are rumbling right now, my friends. In a video a while back, you said you keep an old school handwritten log. Can you go over a template for that? It's really pretty simple. I do. I write it all in a book. I just like writing shit. I don't like printing things out or going from a phone, something can break. I like having a book that I can open up, I can write, I can scribble up. I can even write things into how I feel that day. Like there have been times where I've gone to work out and something just didn't feel right, like in a joint or something. And I was like, fuck this. Like one time I was doing legs, I had a really bad cramp and I could not squat. And I tried other leg exercises like leg press and nothing was working. It was hurting too much and it wasn't a good kind of pain. So I was like, okay, I cut the leg workout. I made note of it in my journal. And I instead did another delt day because it was far enough away from the other 2 delt days that I could get away with that. And I always feel like my delts could use a little more work. So I worked that in and I made note of it in my journal. So basically the template for my journal really is date. And then I list the exercises I'm doing that day, which I pre-plan. How many sets I'm going to be doing of each, how many reps I'm targeting, or the rep range. Usually I have like 6 to 8, 10 to 12, 13 to 15, that kind of thing, whatever. And then I'll have at the amount of weight that I'll be using. And then I leave a space for myself to write how many reps I actually got per set. So like if I'll write like first set, comma, second set reps achieved, comma, third set reps achieved. And if I got on my first set, if I broke the number of reps, let's say I was going for 10 to 12 and I got 13 on my first set, I will note to myself to bring the weight up next session by 5 pounds or something, or in a barbell exercise by like 10 pounds, but dumbbells like 5 per arm. And a lot of times with like cables might be 2.5 per arm. I try to like increment it slowly. That's how I set it up. And I have log books going back by about 4 years. So yeah, I've been tracking for a while. And I actually reference them. They're actually a useful tool to have because you can go back and see where you've gone well, where you fucked up. And if you haven't done an exercise in a long time, you can get a sense of what you were at with that exercise the last time you did it. So it's kind of like having a library on hand as well. If my goal is to get stronger, can I do just body weight workouts or should I mix it with lifting weights? Yes, lifting weights. Body weight will take you so far. You've got to have progressive resistance. And the way to do that is really to add heavier weight. In fact, studies have shown that while muscle building is actually the same in like 25 to 30 rep range as it is in the 8 to 12 rep range, in the 8 to 12 rep range, you also have strength growth happening as well that does not occur in the same capacity or even at all in the 25 to 30 rep range. So if you're like doing pull-ups or push-ups and you can already get like 20, 25 reps, you're better off just doing bench presses, or working in bench presses with push-ups. I don't say get rid of body weight exercises because they're still very useful, but incorporate weights in there because you want to get progressive resistance to progressively achieve results. That's how it works. That's how muscle growth works. There's a number of mechanisms how muscle growth works, and that is one of them. Did you pay attention to the recent Mr. Olympia contest? If so, any thoughts? I haven't really paid attention to Mr. Olympia since probably Phil Heath's first Mr. Olympia win was the last time that I ever really got amped up about the Mr. Olympia. There was a time when I began bodybuilding, when I began lifting weights, that I was so obsessed with the Mr. Olympia contest that every time the Mr. Olympia rolled around, I was looking forward to it because it gave me this motivation to train. But I don't find motivation in that really big juiced up bodybuilding look anymore. I guess my outlook has changed a lot. And for that reason, I guess I don't follow it that much, but I did hear Phil Heath won again. Not really surprised. So I mean, he's always brought a pretty good package to the stage. So I don't know. People want to argue because Philly can be a dick sometimes, but I mean, cocky, I guess, is the word for it. But I'm just going by how he looks. I don't know. I mean, there's also potential for rigging in these contests too. I don't know, but whatever. Which cooking oil is the best and which to avoid? I would avoid. I mean, if you want to cook with oils, that's fine. I don't really recommend a lot of oils. I prefer you get your fats from more whole food sources, but oils can work for cooking. I recommend almost exclusively coconut oil because of its really high smoke point. I would not recommend cooking, at least at high temperatures. So like I wouldn't recommend frying or pan frying with like olive oil because it's got a lower smoke point. And so coconut oil is probably the best one for cooking when it comes to its high smoke point, heat tolerance. I'm doing a project for my school on vegan athletics and nutrition. Do you know any videos that make good points about vegan athletics, or do you know any good points? I mean, I don't know what exactly you're looking for. I mean, you can look back at a lot of my older videos. I have a video, it's a bit of an aggressive video, so you might want to take ideas from it instead of actually showing it to your class. There's a video I did called Weak Vegans or Weak Vegan Athletes or something along those. If you go to my channel and you search Weak Vegans, it'll come up, or Vegans Are Weak and Small. I think that's what it was called. And that talked about vegan athletics compared to, you know, sort of in the face of people who make fun of vegan athletes. Does chewing gum contribute to having a more developed jawline because losing weight, not eating too much sodium? I don't know what chewing gum had to do with losing weight or sodium issues, but I don't know. I guess any kind of repetitive resistance type movement could cause some degree of growth, but like how much growth chewing gum over time would actually attribute to a bigger jawline, I don't know. I really don't know what to tell you there. A lot of times jawline is very much genetic. But then again, Arnold developed his abs by doing a vacuum pose during the day. So when he would be at work or at school, because he did do some schooling while he was in America and doing contests, he said he would hold vacuum poses during class or while he was working. And he attributes that to his core development. So, you know, that's kind of like a non-resistance repetitive thing you can do. So I don't see why chewing gum won't have some effect, I guess. But how much, I don't know. Is working out in the morning better than the evening? Whatever's best for you. There's been no real evidence to show that either one is any better or any worse than the other. There's been some evidence to show that fasted training increases GH, but at the same time, so this would be morning. At the same time, fasted training can also cause bad muscle damage. So if you're going to train in the morning and you're going to train without food in your stomach, I would at least advise amino acids prior to lifting. So some free form aminos like an EAA, a dose of EAAs or BCAAs or something, like 10 grams of BCAAs or 10 grams of EAAs. Do you drink any vegan alternatives to milk, and have you tried oat milk? I feel like I've answered this question before. I don't regularly, but I bake and or have vegan cereals when I do, with like either coconut milk or rice milk. And I have had oat milk over in the UK when I was in the UK last. And I like oat milk, it's good. There's a Swedish company called Oatly or something, I think, that makes an oat milk over there that I really, really enjoyed. Have you ever trained so hard you threw up? And if so, did you consider it a good or bad thing? Came close. I was doing an Arnold Schwarzenegger style superset workout one time for chest and back. And I was supersetting deadlifts with incline bench press. And I came close to puking. I had pushed myself so hard. And with the compound nature of those two movements, I actually got up off the incline, then did the deadlifts, and then fell over toward a weight rack and had to hold it to support myself up for a minute because I almost fainted and puked from doing that. And that might have been an issue with breathing because I was just going so ham that I might not have been breathing as well as I should have. But yeah, that did happen to me once. I wouldn't say it happens a lot, but it's happened to me once. Now, pain happens all the time in the gym. You got to work through that. The good kind of pain, that is. Don't work through the bad pain. If it feels like something's wrong, don't work through that. What advice would you give to pescatarians? My friend still has trouble laying off the fish and eggs, and I'm trying to convince him to go vegan. You just have to do it. It's not something that I can tell you some magic trick to just stop eating fish and eggs. You just have to do it. Maybe look at two different things: the ethical consequences of consuming eggs and fish, which I've talked about in my videos, and then the health consequences of consuming eggs and fish, which I've also talked about in my videos. So perhaps look at it from the ethical and health standpoint and just do it. Just make it happen. I don't know how I can inform and inform and inform, but I can't force somebody to do something. And that's not my place to do that either. That's not anyone's place to really do that unless somebody's hurting people or breaking a law. But when it comes to forcing somebody to do something like their dietary changing, I can't do that. It's not my place. All I can do is educate and hope people make the right decision for themselves, for the animals, and for the planet. Do you think science will eventually advance to the point that anabolic steroids are completely safe to use? I don't think so. And the reason for that is this. Anytime you're putting a hormone in your body, bear in mind that you are going to shut down your natural production. This is the side effect of putting exogenous hormones in your body. Your endogenous hormones are going to stop being produced. So maybe other side effects can be minimized, but that shutdown will always be a problem. I don't think, it's up to the person whether they want to do it or not. I don't see the point in doing that and I don't recommend people do it, because what if you shut down, you can't get back to normal again, you're on TRT the rest of your life? That sucks, man. That sucks. What if it hurts your fertility and you can't get your girlfriend or your wife pregnant? That sucks. And what if she wants to get pregnant? That really fucking sucks, and she'll blame it on you, could end your relationship. These are just a lot of what ifs. And a lot of bodybuilders do freeze their sperm for that very reason. So just some food for thought. Somebody says, greetings from Greece. Right back at you. By the way, I'm actually wearing a Santorini shirt today. So it's funny, someone says Greece. I actually got this when I was in Santorini a few years back. Would I use them? I already answered that question. No, I wouldn't use steroids. I have thought about steroids in the past. I'm not going to lie. I think every lifter at some point in time has given the dark side a bit of a thought. But it has occurred to me. But when I look at the risks and I look at the benefits and I looked at my goals, ultimately, they just didn't align. So that's what that's my thoughts on that. What supplements do I need at bodybuilding and training for a marathon, and how much protein? Are you talking about like a running marathon? I mean, you don't necessarily need to be lifting weights to improve your running. I mean, I guess you could do some leg. It depends on what you're doing, really. That's more of an endurance type sport. And I don't really know a lot about that kind of thing, so that's really not my expertise. But as for supplements, no supplements are really, bodybuilding supplements are really necessary. Creatine can be helpful not only in some performance aspects, at least to some degree, but vegans and vegetarians show improvement in cognitive health with creatine use. And I have pushed this time and time again. There's research to show that specifically in vegans and vegetarians. So creatine's pretty cheap. Maybe some protein powder if you're not getting enough from your diet, or you feel like it would help you meet your macros a little better, or it's just convenient for you. That's an option. And beta-alanine works synergistically with creatine. But that's really the three that I see use in, and only if you have the money to spend. Don't expect miracles. Eat a good diet and get your training down first and foremost before you even think of supplementation. What do you think is the most overrated and unnecessary supplement? Oh, there's so many of them. But I would have to say testosterone boosters are the single most overrated, waste of money, pushed supplements that men, obviously, specifically, blow a lot of their money on. And I've done a video on testosterone boosters and why they're shit. So testosterone boosters are definitely probably my top choice there. Or any hormone booster, for that matter, for the most part, is all going to be shit. It's not going to be like using an exogenous source of the hormone, and within a healthy, normal range, and you're not going to really boost outside of that, and unless you're a genetic freak and even then it'll be minimal, probably not even impactful. As I explained in my testosterone booster video, you're not going to get any better results in that range. The only thing test boosters might help with, theoretically, if they're able to boost you higher in the normal range, is fat loss. And I explained that in the testosterone boosting video. You're not going to see more muscle growth, but you may see an increase of some kind, small, but probably not significant increase in fat loss. Bench press or overhead press for maximum gains? Both. Both are great. Although if you want to just do one, a lot of times I'll take overhead press out of my routine if I'm doing a lot of incline pressing, because as a bodybuilder, the way I see it is that by incline pressing, I'm already getting a lot of front delt work, and the overhead barbell press works more of the front delts than the rear or side delts. So if you're doing a lot of incline bench press, which knocks your upper chest, you're already getting ample front delt work. You don't necessarily have to do the overhead bar press, and you could just focus on like upright rows, lateral raises, and rear lateral raises, or something like that. Just some food for thought. Fasting has been shown to grow HGH, and a youthful hormone. Does refeeding stop that? Fasting does boost GH, but as I explained in my Amen Raw video, which a lot of people just didn't understand, there's a lot of idiots commenting on that video. You know, I'm not even going to get into that. I've toyed with the idea of doing a video just dedicated to stupid comments that I've received recently, but not even getting into that. Fasting does boost GH, and once you stop the fasting, the GH levels will drop. But fasting after a certain point can just be more detrimental to you than beneficial. You know, these people who go on these juice fasts for like a month, it's just stupid. And they talk about things like detoxifying themselves. It's like your liver does that. Let your liver do its job, unless you have a compromised liver. And if you have a compromised liver, see a doctor. Don't do these, these juice detoxing. Do detoxes. And I've even asked some of these companies, like, and other people have as well, what exactly is your product detoxing, and what toxins are you trying to get rid of, and why is the liver not and the liver not working, for you, that you need this product? And I've never gotten a straight answer. So I should tell you something. Let's see. Do you think there's a risk for brain damage over time from doing sparring or Thai boxing? I've answered this question before. Pretty sure I've answered that question before. Yes, there is. Anytime you take strikes to the head, there is, but you have to weigh what you're going to gain from what you're going to lose potentially. There's a risk in everything you do in life. Everything you enjoy doing can come with a risk. For instance, another risk could be like a guy goes to a club, meets a great girl, has a one-night stand, and might have just risked getting an STD if he didn't use a condom. There's risks or the condom breaks. There's risks in everything in life, from what you do. So you got to be as smart as possible. But in some areas like the martial arts, they're so useful in general. But you can train without head contact if you really want to. There are some schools that do that. But dealing with head strikes is one way of preparing yourself for the inevitable in a street fight. So, or any self-defense scenario, street, bar, wherever. I've been in fights in so many places that, I've been in fights in college dorm rooms. I've been in fights in the street. I've been in fights in the subway. I've been in fights on a subway train. I almost got in a fight in a Whole Foods market one time, at the checkout counter. Fuck, and it's not because I'm looking for fights. Just shit happens sometimes, And yeah, I guess it is my fault that I don't let shit go sometimes too. Like if somebody gets in my face, I don't back down. So especially if I'm in the right, if it's something that I'm in the right about, I call it, I justify it. It's justice. And I'm a strong believer in justice. Hey bro, you're awesome. Quick question. Do you still believe in BCA supplementation? Yes, I do, but there's a caveat. BCAA supplementation, EAAs as well, have been shown in vegan lifters to improve protein synthesis versus those who do not take them. And this is on top of your normal dietary protein intake that you'd be taking for mass gain. But throwing in between meals an EAA supplement has been shown to increase protein synthesis by about 2 times as much. It actually doubles it. In one study that I was reading, led by Dr. Jacob Wilson. And what else? But they're especially good for fasted training and can be useful in a cut as well when you're trying to preserve muscle mass. So just those are some thoughts. I always like mention taking some extra BCAAs throughout the day, especially if you're cutting down and you're in a bit of a deficit, just to help maintain your muscle mass. Someone says, hi, what's up? Am I late, Mr. Ray? Yes, you are a bit late. We've been running for about half an hour. Can I please call who? Oh, Joe Rogan. Someone asked me to call Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's at it again. This guy, this fucking guy, this Joe Rogan guy, I don't even, look, I feel like that every time I call him out or Vegan Gains calls him out or somebody else calls him out, he just releases more absurdity. I could literally devote a channel to Joe Rogan, and I don't know if I really feel like giving him that much time of day. I mean, oh God, there's so many things I can call him out about. I mean, I've done like 2 or 3 videos on the guy already. And then I've done some videos, like my hunting video, which wasn't directly about Joe, but was poking at Joe. I was taking a poke at Joe. He says that all vegan BBs are on test and the body can't produce enough tests in a vegan diet. Bullshit. The body can produce ample tests. In fact, vegans have a higher total testosterone value than omnivores. And that's been shown in research. The only difference is vegans have higher sex hormone binding globulin as well than omnivores, so it all balances out in the end to about the same test levels. There's not really any difference, and fuck that whole cholesterol argument. I mentioned before that fat is an important element there, so keep your fat at 20% of your maintenance calories or higher to maintain ample hormone values. You don't need to be eating dietary cholesterol. So if that's his argument, then he's full of shit, and I discussed that time and time again. And a lot of bodybuilders are on testosterone, but not every bodybuilder is on testosterone. I mean, I'm not on testosterone, but there are a lot of bodybuilders on testosterone. I don't think John Venus is on testosterone. I don't think the Golden One is on testosterone. But the Golden One has said he would take testosterone if he needed it for TRT. He's mentioned that before. But I don't think he's on it right now. I believe when he says he's not. There's a lot of guys I don't think are on the T. So, but there are a lot that are too, like Barney Duplessis. I'm pretty fucking sure there's no way in hell that guy's a natural. But he's a vegan bodybuilder, and at his level, he would be taking testosterone because look who he's competing against. So that argument's irrelevant, you know? Like, non-vegan bodybuilders are on testosterone. Oh, let's see here. What's your opinion on the strength deficit? What are we talking about here? Is this like a program or something? I need you to elaborate more. I love your work, Cory. Just starting into the vegan thing. You've been a big inspiration. You're very welcome. He says, thanks. You're very welcome. Who do you think won the debate? Also, do you think it was rigged? I think that Trump won that debate. I think that the media is focusing on the few polls that show that Trump didn't. But Milo Yiannopoulos, for instance, showed all of the poll results of when people were polled and asked who they thought won the debate. And the majority of those polls showed Trump as the clear winner. I think that Trump held back a lot on Clinton. There's a lot of things Trump could have gone after Clinton for in that debate, but he held back. I think she shot below the belt, so he should have gone out about Clinton's husband's affairs and how Hillary covered them up, a number of them up, including his rapes. There's a lot of things that I think he should have gone out for, but he didn't. And I can tell you that with probably a bit of a smash to his ego based on what the the left-wing media is saying about him, the liberal media is saying about him, he's probably going to go into guns blazing in this next debate. And I have a feeling he's going to like eat Hillary alive in that debate. So I'm looking forward to the next debate to see what happens. Eat Cliff Bars to strengthen the jaw, maybe. That's a joke though. I've seen graphs showing male test levels are maxed at 7 in the morning. You know, I've heard of this before, that some guys have higher tests in the morning, that this equates to the giant erections, you know, waking up to the morning wood, as we call it. You know, but I don't know. Bear in mind, I don't think it's going to have that much of an impact on your training gains. If you're I've showed this in videos before. If you're within the normal healthy range, and you're always going to be within that range unless you're sick and have low T, you're hypogonadism or something. But if you're in the normal healthy range, it doesn't matter if you're like grams per deciliter or 900 nanograms per deciliter, you're not going to get any better results from muscle building within the normal range. So training in the morning or evening is really not going to make a difference based on your natural test levels. I personally like training in the evening because I feel like I'm more awake and I just lift heavier, in my opinion, when I'm training in the evening. I will train in the morning sometimes if I have, on Saturdays I tend to train in the morning, get it out of the way. But most weekdays I train in the evening. How often do I take a multivitamin? I take one every day with breakfast. Let's see here. You talk about different types of fibers that you can work out, but I read that you will get stronger when you aim for maximum strength between 1 and 5 reps. It says that, okay, it's true that the heavier you train, the more strength you can gain. This has been shown. But you can still tax, you know, using endurance rep ranges like 25 to 30, for instance, can still cause muscle growth. But yes, strength growth is going to happen more within the lower, heavier reps, the lower reps range. So like 6 to 8 for bodybuilders would be ample, or even 5 to 8. But 1 to 5 for like powerlifters and things like that would work just fine. Let's see here. Somebody says they hate needles. I hate needles too, man. Do I believe in the supernatural? This is a really interesting question. I think science sort of, it looks into it, but it takes it with a grain of salt. There are things that we can't explain that maybe someday we will. I have experienced supernatural, as you might want to call it, shit in the past. A number of years back, about a decade back, I experienced some pretty fucked up supernatural shit that I could not. After my brother had used a Ouija board at my parents' place when I was visiting my parents. This is a point in time when I had been living in Australia, and I took a Christmas break to come home, and I was living with at my folks' place for a few months, and before going back to Australia. And my brother had been using a Ouija board, and before I even knew that that was the case, so I can't blame it on like planting something in my mind. I was experiencing weird shit. Then I brought it up to my parents, and they explained what had happened with the Ouija board, and I just kept experiencing weird shit the entire time that I was there. Really strange shit. I could tell you guys ghost stories, but maybe I'll save that for a Halloween Q&A. They're coming up soon, so maybe I'll do a ghost story thing on the Halloween Q&A. I'll tell you all the story then. So remind me. But yes, I have experienced some supernatural shit. Hurricane Matthew is coming for me here in Jamaica. Cory, help me. I don't know what to do for you. Bunker down and stay safe. It's all I can say. I mean, all the hurricanes you guys get down there, being that I live on the eastern seaboard here, I get the spin-off effect. So, like, for instance, Hurricane Sandy fucked up New York City when it came up our coastline a few years back. And I remember that. I had to work out of my apartment because our gym was closed. And remember how fucked up it was. And half the city below me lost power, but the power grid didn't cut off up at the point where I live. So I still have power where I had friends who were in the dark. And I shouldn't be laughing about that. But yeah, I mean, it was so weird because you could walk outside and start walking downtown. And after you get to a certain point, all the street lights were out. It just went from lit streets to like pitch black at night. It was so crazy after the Hurricane Sandy event, because that power was out for I think about a good day. They didn't get their power back for about a day. So yeah, I don't know. Bunker down and stay safe, man. Let's see here. There's no such thing as supernatural. There is only natural. One could say that. So perhaps what we call supernatural has a natural explanation. But I have definitely experienced some fucked up things. And like I said, I could tell you stories about that maybe close to Halloween. That'd be fun. Do I mean ghosts and spirits? In my case, I mean ghosts, I guess. Yeah, I would say ghosts or something. Something not very good. It was something malicious. Are you into mythology? I am. I enjoyed mythology growing up. I enjoyed epic poems a lot growing up. I liked the Odyssey and the Iliad. I read those from a young age. I loved Beowulf. I read that at a young age. I loved Greek mythology. I feel that the Romans stole from the Greeks, which they did. And I also enjoy Viking, Scandinavian mythology as well. You know the truth. You know humans are frugivores. You know our protein needs are as low as shit. You know enzymes have amino acids. So why aren't you fruitarian? I don't know what you mean by enzymes having amino acids. There are enzymes that break down amino acids, like protease enzyme, for instance, breaks down protein. But you know, there's enzymes that break down carbs, enzymes that break down fiber, enzymes that break down fat. But enzymes themselves do not contain amino acids. Protein needs are lower for non-active people. The RDA, in other words, for people who aren't very active, who just need to be able to be healthy. But protein needs, as confirmed in numerous nutrition texts, are higher for strength athletes than they are for, say, endurance athletes, which are slightly higher than the RDA. So to say that everybody should only eat 50 grams of protein a day, or whatever mythological number you want to throw out there, is based on absolutely zero nutritional science and is total bullshit. Somebody's feeding you bullshit. Why am I not a fruitarian? Because I don't see any benefit from eating a diet entirely of fruit. I wouldn't get enough protein for my needs. I had to eat a fuckload of calories to get enough protein for my needs. I would be fucking myself over in the fat department as well, because a lot of, aside from avocados, a lot of fruits aren't that high in fat. I'd be likely fucking myself over in the omegas department. And a lot of fruitarians end up sick after a period of time. There's a number of them that have ended up sick. So I don't recommend that, just like I don't recommend raw dieting. I don't recommend any of those really, really limited focus types of diets. I recommend a whole foods balanced, mixed form of dieting. In other words, mixed between cooked and raw where appropriate. Following the protein and fat, your fat needs for health and your protein needs for what your activity levels are. Is there any significance to your hairstyle? Like, is it modeled after celebrities? You just go by the barber and look through their magazines. What I often do is I will take my current hairstyle right now is really just, I just kind of swabbed it back a bit with some pomade that I got from Whole Foods. Usually my hairstyles, it's what kind of I suits my fancy at the moment. Like, for a long period of time, as you guys remember, I had that, like, I had the curtains type style that I was borrowing from Leon Kennedy of Resident Evil. So I took pictures of Leon Kennedy from all sides and angles from Resident Evil, and I brought it to the to my stylist, and I told him to give me this hairstyle. Currently, my hairstyle, well, the base hairstyle, what it was cut for a few months back, was modeled after Dolph Lundgren, the martial arts actor who's kind of an idol of mine. I've been watching his movies since I was a kid, and I kind of liked his current hairstyle that he has. It was sort of a nice modern look that worked on his facial structure. And people keep telling me that I have, like, that I remind them of Dolph Lundgren or Ivan Drago. So I figured, okay, why not? I'll give it a go. And it worked pretty well. So a lot of times I'll just take photographs in with me to my stylist and say, make this happen. But sometimes it doesn't work out because my hair might not be the right texture compared to somebody else's hair, so it might not work as well. You know, my hair is very much thick but fine and straight, so I can't mimic somebody who has wavier hair or somebody who has less thick hair or you know, less fine hair, that sort of thing. I think it's best liver cleanses, not putting unnecessary fat and junk into it. I think the best way to keep your liver healthy is just not to drink a lot, not to drink any alcohol, or limit it, but I say no alcohol. Don't take steroids or other drugs that are going to affect your liver health and blow your liver enzymes to the roof. You know, really, it starts in your kitchen. It starts with how you treat your body. I mean, you know, your liver's job is to filter for your body. It's to detoxify your body. So just don't fuck with your liver, you know? I mean, I've seen people who end up with liver problems, liver failure, because they take anabolic steroids, the kind that are like methylated, for instance. They have to actually, you know, they're oral anabolic steroids, which is already like basically playing Russian roulette with your liver as it is, and they drink alcohol, which is like double stupid, basically. You can get human papillomavirus or HPV even if you wear a condom, I've heard. I think so, yeah. And HPV is pretty silent in men, if I'm not mistaken, but it can cause a lot of health problems in women and infertility in women if they catch it. Yeah, there's a lot of fucking nasty STDs out there. That's why you don't fuck around. Should everyone count calories? Not necessarily. If you have a specific goal in mind, counting calories can ensure that you're getting enough for your needs or enough for your goal, whatever that might be, plus the macros, that can help. I mean, I think that bodybuilders should, you know, people that are involved in that kind of sport, that where it really counts to look your best, or people who are just really trying to get themselves to look the best they can for the beach or for the street or just whatever, should focus on that sort of thing. But if just your average person, you know, just be mindful per day, enough fat per day. That's very helpful for your health benefits, but you don't necessarily have to strictly count, you know. Damn, Cory's a real ass motherfucker. I guess. I mean, I just tell it like it is. I don't bullshit. You know, somebody told me on my Trump video that I really shouldn't have done a Trump video because people are going to be offended by me doing a Trump video. And it's like, I don't give a fuck. I mean, I don't give a fuck. I mean, everybody has different views. That's how this world works. There are people who are more right-leaning. There are people who are left-leaning. I have friends who are liberals. I have family members who are liberals, and I don't tear them apart or ostracize them because they're liberals. And, you know, it's like, and then there are people who are right-leaning. It's like, you know, veganism has so many people in it. Why ostracize people from the movement? That's doing harm to veganism. I think people need to stop co-opting veganism and using it for what it wasn't intended to be, like a political platform. I'm seeing people who are like Black Lives Matter supporters using veganism as a vehicle just to push their Black Lives Matter message. And that's co-opting veganism. That's bastardizing its original intent and purpose and meaning. You know, I think that veganism should be for everyone. And if we start saying that no right-wingers in veganism, or you know, no Trump supporters in veganism because you're not a vegan if you support Trump, I think that's fucking the movement over, and that's what happens when you co-opt. But these SJWs don't understand that because they don't use logic. They're void of logic. You know, in the SJW world, 2 + 2 = 5. So, but people are waking up to that more and more and more, and SJWs are becoming more of a brunt of attack now when it comes to criticism. So I think we're going to be seeing a big change, and I think that even if Trump doesn't win, enough of a seed has been planted that I think we're going to see a big political change in the coming times. And I think that if Hillary gets into power, for instance, and she tries to take our guns, yeah, I think that we're going to see war in the coming times, potentially even civil war. So there's a lot of things to you know, to look forward to or be concerned about, however you want to view it. That's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, if that's what you mean by a real ass motherfucker, that I say it like it is, then I guess I am. Anyway, sorry for that tangent. Aren't I worried about getting a criminal record for getting into fights? I don't fight someone unless they throw the first blow. And I make that clear. Every time that I've gotten into a fight, I've made it clear, except where I've just been attacked and then I've had to defend myself, which happened at the subway one time. A guy just attacked me and I had to knock him out. And it was a stupid story. I'll tell you. I was coming home from work and I had business pants on that were dry clean business pants. You know, they fall apart in the wash machine. This was years and years back, probably about 8 years back. And this guy was there with his wife and kid, and his kid put his finger on one nose and blew green snot out of his other nostril right onto my work pants. And I was disgusted by that. So I looked up to his father. I said, you know, because it's a kid, for fuck's sake. So I looked at his father and said, "That's disgusting, man." I said, you know, you should apologize for your kid. That's disgusting. That's bad behavior. He basically told me that I was a yuppie motherfucker and that I should, you know, I shouldn't tell him how to raise his kid, and he's had a hard day, and so I should just get fucked or whatever, you know. And I just shook my head. The guy was a total douche, but whatever. You aren't going to talk reason to someone like that. I get up to get off the train at my stop about 15 minutes later or so, and the guy shoves me in the back as I was getting off. I just used that momentum of him shoving me to catch myself from falling, spin back around and crack him right in the nose. And it sounded like a nutcracker. His nose just, it burst. And he crumpled to the floor, and his wife got, and at that point I was like, oh fuck, because, you know, people have camera phones or whatever else they might have. I was concerned that I would get arrested for that. But in hindsight, I mean, I talked to a friend of mine who worked in forensics at the time, and my uncle's a cop. He said, you know, we're bored there breaking a guy's nose, but You know, he did physically assault you first. It's a gray area, but likely no one's going to find you for what you did. But yeah, that happened. You know, I call it self-defense because I wasn't expecting it, and the guy struck me in the back. And this was, like I said, a long, long time ago. And I've had other situations too, you know, but the way I look at it is that I always warn someone that, like, leave me alone. I always make it clear first when somebody's just getting in my face to just back the fuck off. Because if you touch me, I'm going to hurt you. And I'll say that. I'm going to defend myself if you touch me. So I always put that warning out there unless someone just attacks me, blindly attacks me out of the blue. So anyway, people are asking me, they know I support Trump, but what about his views on getting rid of environmental regulations? Look, there are things about Trump that I don't agree with. I don't agree with everything Trump says and everything Trump plans and everything Trump does. But compared to Hillary, you know, I like Trump, and I have a number of reasons why I like Trump, and I've talked about this before. So, yeah, you know, I don't agree with the environmental thing, but I also think there's some things that Trump might try to pass that will never get through to a law anyway. So I'm not too concerned about that. But you know, I think that we should keep the good fight as vegans. I do stand with the UN. I stand with Oxford University when it comes to the environmental impacts of, like, particularly animal agriculture and the land use, the resource use, like water use, et cetera, et cetera. It's just putting a strain on the world. So, and it's just, it goes much more beyond just emissions. So, my boyfriend refuses to let me tweeze out his vellus hair pacted blackheads. He won't let me squeeze his whiteheads. And he doesn't squeeze either. Advice? I don't know about that. That's between you and your boyfriend. I don't know. Interesting question, but how can I afford to live in Manhattan? I can assure you it isn't cheap to live in Manhattan. It's getting worse and worse and worse. I've actually considered moving to Brooklyn or Queens because of the price of living out there. I can get so much more for what I pay in Manhattan, but Manhattan's so convenient. Yeah. Hair thinning on a vegan diet, eat more fats in your diet. That might be impacting your protein, can impact hair loss as well. Your calorie intake can impact hair thinning. People who are eating way too low of calories can experience loss of hair. People who are eating too low of protein or too low of fat also can have problems with hair and skin. Yes, I live in Manhattan. Joanne's asking, do I live in Manhattan? Yes, I live in Manhattan. I lived in Manhattan for a long time. Let's see here. Let's see. Somebody says vegans are cucks. Fuck off. Not all vegans are cucks. So, as the saying goes. But anyway, moving forward. Let's see. Since it's obvious that Trump is only going to get better, do you see Hillary getting stronger, or do you think she went all out in the first one? I think she blew her load, so to speak, in that first debate. I think that Trump's going to hammer her harder next time. As I was saying, I think he's going to hammer her harder. How do I improve the bench press? I'm so weak. After 4 years of training, I can only do 225 for 2 to 3 reps. Well, first of all, bear in mind it could be about your leverage. You might have to change your grip up to deal with how long or short your arms are. It could be your tricep strength. Could be your front deltoids, or there could be a weak link in the chain somewhere. And it also might just be you to do more benching and work through weak spots. Like maybe do like presses where you only bench the top portion, or like board bench presses or floor presses with dumbbells. Work your close grip bench for your triceps. Make sure you work your incline or overhead press for your front deltoids. Strengthen all the supporting muscles as well, and just practice the bench press. And don't be afraid to go heavy, but be smart. Heavy for you, this is why I don't like talking about weights. While somebody else might get 3 to 5 reps with 300 pounds, maybe you can only get 3 to 5 reps with 225, but that's heavy for you. Heavy is relative. Pay attention to the rep range, fail within that rep range of like 1 to 5 if you're really trying to work on strength, I wouldn't really advise doing singles unless you have a training partner, somebody who can spot you, because if that weight falls on you, you're fucked. Or you could be fucked. You're probably gonna be fucked anyway if all that weight falls on you. But yeah, that is my advice, is just practice the bench press. Get under this heat light, I'm starting to fucking sweat here. Do I still experience symptoms for ADHD? If so, what are they, and how do you take medications to deal with ADHD? When I was a kid, I was given medications for ADHD. I have not used the medication since I became an adult, when my parents could no longer tell me what I had to do or not do, legally speaking, and I was able to make my own decisions. I went off medications for ADHD. I went off my teen and childhood depression medications back then as well at 18. And I just worked on self-improvement as opposed to relying on a drug to mask the problem. But yes, I still experience symptoms of ADHD. I get very excited a lot, especially when I'm very happy or I'm looking forward to something. I get extremely excited, and that can make me seem crazy. People tell me when I'm at parties, when I do go to parties, that I don't need alcohol or drugs to be crazy and be fun, because I have a natural propensity for it, being so hyperactive. I also can be a little bit what's a good word? Impulsive is a good word for that. Like which can affect my fighting. Like I tend to. That probably is a reason why I tend to get in more fights. One, I have higher I have decent testosterone levels. I mean, I'm in normal range, but I have decent testosterone levels. And I also just am very impulsive. So when somebody gets in my face and I feel there's a justifiable recourse, I will get back in their face, even if I know that's going to lead to a fight. So sometimes my ADHD can play up in that regard too, is the impulsivity. Not always a good thing. Not a good thing when it comes to like something could potentially get you arrested if you beat somebody up and people and the cops show up, and yeah. Let's see here. Well, I don't just do. Somebody's asking what I do for a living. I don't just do YouTube. I also run a business. Yeah, I do a number of things for money. I'm not a drug dealer. Oh man, Some of you saying drug dealer. I'm not a drug dealer. I can assure you. I don't even like drugs. I don't like being around drugs. The only drug that I take that you could say is a performance drug of some kind, or a drug that affects your body in some way, it's not like a medication for something, which I don't take any medications right now anyway, would be caffeine. It's technically a drug. I do use caffeine in the mornings. When I wake up, I'll drink some coffee, but that's the only drug I take. Somebody's asking if there's any cheap replacements for seafood, because it's the only thing left to go off of. Tofu is so fucking cheap. Extra firm tofu is so cheap. At least here in New York, and I guess in America in general, you can get like 15 ounces of extra firm tofu in a package, a water package, for like $2.99. That's pretty cheap. And Whole Foods has a program that if you buy a case, so let's say you buy I guess there's 8 to 10 tofu packs in a case, and you buy a case, you get like a 10% discount. That's a little secret they won't tell you, but I found out because I buy cases of shit regularly from Whole Foods. So if you buy a case of products from Whole Foods, like if you are a bodybuilder and you buy a lot of food, like cans of beans or whatever, and you just buy out a case worth, like 12 cans or something, you can ask for a 10% discount, a case discount. Sometimes they'll even give it to you under a case if you just bought a lot. But let's say I buy 6 packs of tofu and a case is like 8 or 10 or something. I'll still ask them. I'll sweet talk the cashier to getting a 10% discount. And never had a problem, except one time I had a real asshole cashier. But most of the time I never had a problem sweet talking the cashier and getting that 10% discount. Because I just buy so much fucking food, and I'm a regular shopper at Whole Foods. So, they're keeping me happy, and I'm keeping them in business in some ways. How long have I been working out to get where I'm at? I have been lifting weights since 2008, but I've been doing it correctly since 2009. Autumn of 2009 was when I really began focusing on diet and nutrition correctly and really getting into the science behind it. And that's when I really began. Before that, I was kind of more of a bro, I guess you could say. And I was just doing it wrong, and I wasn't really getting any kind of progress. But when I started doing it right, you know, the ball just kept rolling. You know, now it's a lot harder, but the ball still rolls from time to time. But it's easier to get plateaued now where I'm at. Let's see here. All drugs should be legal. I don't know about that. Heroin, cocaine, shit like that. I don't know. Some things in there are better off the streets. Weed is fine, I guess. Making weed legal is fine. It's legal in some places as it is already in America. Yes, Roman culture did appropriate the Greeks. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna have to cut this short now. Once again, like my battery's cutting out, and besides, it's been going on for about an hour now. I do these Q&As every week, and I really enjoy them, and I know you guys do too, because I keep getting people telling me how fun the Q&As have been. So I'm gonna keep doing them every Sunday. I'll keep doing a live Q&A. So it's been fun. I'm sorry if I missed any questions that have come after this point, but hold them for next week. And like always, I'll see you same time, same place. Take care, guys. All right, bye-bye.